Naked Gun is a comedy classic, stuffed to the brim with quotables.
Cuban?
No, Dutch Irish. My father was from Wales.
Oh.
When this film came out in 1988, it immediately overtook probably 50% of casual conversation with male Americans.
Just think, the next time I shoot someone, I could be arrested.
Keep in mind that at the time, we didn't have a myriad of culture tracks and rabbit holes to explore. We had the music that record companies wanted us to hear and the films the studios wanted us to watch. That's it. Someone in the great cortex of Hollywood has decided that they need to dig up the body of Naked Gun, shock it back to life, and see what its ambulatory corpse can do. Of course, Naked Gun had a couple of sequels in the 90s. They were, at best, adequate in quality, but they made a lot of money. Now, I'm sure that you join me in wishing that nice things could just be left as nice things, but at the same time, if I ever made something that earned millions of dollars and someone asked me if I'd like to earn more millions of dollars, I would be on them like a tree frog before syllable 2. I like to think that I have artistic integrity, but I know for a fact I have a mortgage and healthcare costs. Of course, as I say all this, it's with the knowledge that the powers that be are also redoing Spinal Tap. Now, I wish they wouldn't do that, but I trust Christopher Guest. Until he decides to remake Princess Bride. Then I shall be very put out. The man they've chosen to lead this new attempt at Naked Gun is Liam Neeson.
Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
So, can Neeson do it? In a word, yes, he can. And here's how we know he can do it. This is a clip from the Stephen Merchant and Ricky Gervais show with Warwick Davis called Life's Too Short. Now, I was not in the room, of course, but I guarantee you, without shred of doubt, that this clip was also shown to people during the pitch meetings for Neeson's casting in this Naked Gun remake.
Let's do some improvisational comedy. Now, don't presume that's a backstory we didn't agree on beforehand.
That's improv though, isn't it? You sort of go with the flow.
I don't take notes.
I'll link the full clip in the description. If you like Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant's brand of cringy quasi-reality comedy, which I certainly do, I highly recommend Life's Too Short. So, yes, Liam Neeson, with the right writing and direction, can certainly pull off a character like Frank Drebin, but does that guarantee the film will be good? No, not by any means. Comedy nerds like myself, and presumably you as well, have an unshakable, some might say malignant dedication to make comedy, even though it's hard. But it's even harder now than it was in the 80s. People say that nobody makes broad comedies like Naked Gun anymore, but trust me, they do. They just don't break through the public consciousness. As part of the process of delivering my film, The Mostly Serious History of Wine, which is out now on Prime, Apple TV, and wherever fine streams are streamed, I got to see all the other films being delivered to my distributor. And let me tell you, there are a ton of broad comedies in there. It can still be done, and you need look no further than the success of Barbie. Comedy is hard for a lot of reasons, not least because you need people to give you a lot of money and then let you make the movie. Think about it. If you had $1 bazillion and you decided to give a couple of million to some director to make a movie, and then you read there was something in the script that didn't agree with you, would you be able to let the director make the movie they wanted to make, or would you meddle? Would you be able to give that money with no strings? I honestly don't know if I could. Look how rich people act. Imagine trying to make something incisive and hilarious with that kind of person able to stick their fingers into the project whenever they want. Add to that situation the fact that the film needs to make money internationally, not just domestically. So it needs to be about stuff that people everywhere can understand, like extremely sexy athletes in tight, colorful suits punching evil sexy people and occasionally doing magic or sex to them. Another potential concern is that in 2019, Liam Neeson confessed to having race-based rage fantasies when he was a young man. I will link this article from Vox about the whole thing. It's a pretty concerning experience to admit, unprompted, about oneself. The article contains the views of Dr. Ibram X. Kendi, among others, on the subject of Neeson's admission, and rather than attempt my own judgment, I'll defer to the people quoted. But I do feel qualified to say this about the incident. Whether you feel an unprompted confession of past racism is cathartic or self-serving or worse, it sure as hell isn't funny. If the new Naked Gun comes out and Neeson goes on a press junket and starts popping off at the mouth about past racism, it will divide an already potentially very small audience willing to put the world aside and laugh. So, to sum up, can Neeson do it? Sure. Will he and his team pull it off? Maybe. We'll just have to wait and see. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe, and maybe jump on the Patreon if you want to help me make more. And if you want to talk about comedy writing with people who are trying to do it in a constructive way, we also have a Discord channel.